There we go. Okay. All right. We are here with Miss Theresa tonight. And she is going to wow you guys. She has a lot to expand upon. And I think you guys are really going to like this interview tonight. I'm so thankful that she's here. This session is a part of my 5 weeks to freedom masterclass. And each week we've been covering some of the mental barriers that we all have been guilty of having, right? No one is left out, trust me. But we're learning, we're learning tips and we're learning tools to be able to handle those. For example, self-sabotaging thoughts, those negative thoughts, those things we hear in the back of our head that keep us from taking action and going forward in life. So I want to have this masterclass to give you the tools, kind of wet your whistle a little bit, but also to empower you and to motivate you and to let you know that you are not alone when it comes to it. This is part of my mission deadlock. So hopefully at the end of this masterclass, we won't be locked anymore, right? We'll be free. So last session, we talked about procrastination and overwhelm, okay? We all are guilty of both. And so we had Tiffany Montague. I would encourage you to go back and watch that video. She had a lot of good tips. She had a different way of looking at things from a real standpoint. So I would recommend that you guys go back and watch that one. It is on all our social media outlets. Now, before we get started here, I want to remind you about some of the things that we've been talking about. And one of the things that we've been talking about are our thoughts. Okay, our thoughts can be for us or against us. And I want you guys to remember that you don't live in your circumstances. You live in here in your thoughts. So your thoughts are like the lens in which you see your reality. So you have control over what you do with those thoughts. You can either grab them, manifest them, and hold on to them, or you can grab them, take a look at them, examine them, recognize them, and dump them. So it depends on how you want to handle it. So again, I want to introduce Miss Theresa Barrett. It is an honor for me to be able to talk to her and introduce her to you guys. So thank you so much. She is with Granbury Fit-Body Bootcamp. Thank you, Theresa. How are you?
I am fabulous. Thank you so much for having me. And the honor is all mine. You are fabulous, and I have been learning from you for years. So I just appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule. So I want my audience to learn about you. So I want you to tell them a little bit about yourself. You're an amazing outgoing lady. So, and then kind of tell how you got into fitness coaching to begin with.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all growing up, I was incredibly active. Did all of the sports. I was a team captain. I've always been a take charge kind of person. But when I got to college, I was just like, well, I'm not doing sports anymore. I'm going to go a different route. And I just wasn't active anymore. It just wasn't part of my daily lifestyle, and went into the career field that I had chosen to begin with, and just kind of got pretty sedentary and had over time, it was not the freshman 15, it was like the freshman 2 and the sophomore 3. And, just kind of over time accumulated. And I looked in the mirror one day after a slew of pictures had been taken at an event. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I look this way. And so I found a gym in Granbury, Fit-Body Bootcamp, and I walked in. I told the owner and the coach at the time, Kristen, I told her, I don't want to do a trial. I just need to start. I need to hit the ground running. Something's got to change. I was a member here for right at a year, and Kristen and I became really close through that time. She was my coach, both with the exercises, and we do nutrition coaching here as well. And so she really got to know me one-on-one outside to help me even more so than just in the gym. And in that, her and I had a lot of really good in-depth conversations, and she mentioned to me, hey, you'd be a really good coach. Have you ever thought about it? And I was like, no, I don't have that kind of energy. You're psychotic. And that was my excuse. Very self-sabotaging thoughts going on. But I also was not happy in my job. I was very burnt out, and it was a God thing the way that it planned out. The job ended up not working out the same time that I had actually just finished going through my personal training certification, that I was just like, I'm going to do it just in case.
Right.
And about the time that I completed it was the time that that job fizzled out, and God said, no, there's no more just in case. You're taking the leap. Let's go. So I became a coach and have been, I just head over heels for it ever since. And I have never in my life been so passionate about something. So it's been really fun. And I think I have a really cool outlook on it, because I wasn't just born naturally athletic. I mean, I had that, and then I went to the other side of things where I had to be the client, and I was having to go through the transition of weight loss, and I've been there, I've done the struggles, and here I am on the other side of it too. So it's a really fun and unique position that I get to be in.
I think that's cool, because one thing you said that I think is very common and is the key, usually what gets you going to make a decision to start doing something is when you get fed up with yourself.
Yes.
Something has got to change, and then you're like, you're onto it. So that's cool, because you were a client and then now you're the coach. So you've seen both, right?
Yes.
So you're able to offer your clients a perspective and support that's extra supportive because you've been there. So you can tell them, right?
Yes.
So as a fitness coach, you're not just showing them exercises, right? I mean, it goes deeper.
It does. We actually joke around a lot here that, we are certified as trainers and coaches, but we also do nutrition. And the running joke is that we should have signed up for some sort of counseling or psychology class, because we essentially become life coaches for the majority of our clients, because half of what we do, if not more, is just sitting down and getting to know them and figuring out what triggers different people, what helps different people, what motivates different people. So yeah, it's full circle around here.
Right. So that separates what you guys do from, say, not to put a gym down, but that's different for them. That's out there for other people. You don't just go work out and then leave.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Cool. So, and it really helps with accountability, because at the larger box gyms, Billy Bob at the front desk isn't gonna know that you've been out for the last 3 days because your grandmother out of town wasn't feeling well and you wanted to go see her, or there's not going to be anybody calling and saying, hey, you told me your goal was to get here 3 times this week. We're on Wednesday, you've got 3 days left. So it makes it fun, because we do have a smaller clientele, but we do really get to know people. So it's easier to know where people's struggles are and where we kind of need to push a little bit more. So.
Okay. And so do you guys work with people's limitations physically as well?
Yes, absolutely. So our entire program is fully modifiable.
Okay, nice. So as you're working with clients, and you said it's almost like you're doing counseling sometimes, right? But you're also listening. Mm-hmm. What are some of the mental barriers that you've witnessed working with clients?
The most common two would be time. I don't have time. Mm-hmm. And knowledge or intimidation of not knowing would actually be what I have kind of decided to be the second most that I've dealt with. Now, a subgroup of those barriers and excuses would be, your friends and family that you hang out with, or the people that you spend the most time with. So those 3 have been really, really key. Absolutely. So, and I mean, time, we all have the same 24 hours, right? Everyone has 24 hours in a day. But there's people out there that are getting it done. And that's what we really kind of preach to our clients, is someone out there who is busier than you, who has it worse than you, is getting it done. And sometimes, that strikes a chord with a lot of people. But what we tell our clients is, if it strikes a chord with you and you feel offended by it, because you've already given some sort of truth to it, right? Mm-hmm. And so one of the really good examples that we like to give our clients is going back to, everyone gets the same 24 hours. If you break it down and you get 8 hours of sleep, and that's a big if, because as much as it's beneficial for everyone to get 7 to 8 hours of sleep are we actually getting that many? So,
Right.
if you get 8 hours of sleep, if you have a standard, 9 to 5, 8 hour work day with your 1 hour break in there for lunch, and assuming that you have 2 hours drive time, so you're driving an hour to work each direction, that's a cumulative 18 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So in reality, you have 6 hours unaccounted for. Now, add in some family time. Yes, do we have an hour or two ideal family time? If we're taking advantage of it, yes. But what we really like to point out to people is how much time is right here.
I was just about to mention that on the iPhone, it records how much screen time for the week.
And that is so cool, but it also is very disheartening a lot of times, especially on the weekend.
Right, especially when it says it's up 20%. You're like,
Yes, it gives you alerts. And I'm like, okay, let me put that down. No, that's actually, it's a really cool tool though. One thing that you'll probably hear me say several times, and what we preach to our clients, is what gets measured gets managed, whether it's food, your time. But it's really cool that you get to measure your time on your phone or your screen time, because then you have a starting point. But what we'd like to do to some of our clients who we know struggle with that is, screenshot it, send it to me every week. Let's make sure that you're getting it down. And so it's really cool to be able to hold you accountable, but at the same time, it is very, very much in your face.
Right. So when it comes to like family support, sometimes you'll have one person in the family who is being active and wants to get healthy, and some like the other couple, right? The other person in the relationship does not. They don't want to eat healthy food. They don't want a salad. They don't want vegetables, and they don't want to exercise. Yeah. How do you guys address the clients who have that concern? How have you addressed that in the past?
So it really kind of depends on the situation. Who you spend the most time with. So like your core group of 3 to 5 people. Who you spend your time with is who you will become 99% of the time. So, if you hang around with a bunch of millionaires, there's a good chance you're going to learn how to save up money. You're going to learn the tips and tricks, and eventually you're probably going to be a millionaire. On the flip side, if you hang out with a bunch of drug addicts,
right, yeah,
and you're the only one that doesn't, eventually you're probably going to unfortunately go down the same path. So, family is a little bit different because sometimes you can't, step away from those people. However, there's going to be one person, and they will eventually, hopefully come to the light and see the things that you want them to see. But as long as you are surrounding yourself with your core group of people who support your decisions, who are going after goals, whether they're the same goals or not, if you are around goal-oriented people, you will reach your goals more often than if you're not. So, it doesn't matter if everyone around you is trying to lose weight, but if you have a core group of people who will hold you accountable, then that will be most beneficial. Now, there's always going to be that one friend who wants to go, eat the chips and queso or drink the margaritas, or that one family member that's like, I thought you were trying to be healthy. It's Thanksgiving. Why are you going back for your second plate?
Right.
There's a whole nother mindset that you have to have around those kinds of people, because you either can choose, say it is Thanksgiving. You can't dictate who comes to Thanksgiving, or, if it's not at your house, your aunt may or may not say something. Right. But that is something that you have to decide ahead of time. Am I going to put memories over macros, which is perfectly fine? Mm-hmm. Or am I going to stick to my guns and say, you know what, Aunt Sally, it's not your plate. It's okay. I'm not going to comment on your food. Don't worry about mine.
Right. So, right. You got to stand up for yourself sometimes.
Absolutely. Right? Absolutely. Yeah. But all of it goes back to is really being choosy with who your core group of people is, whether it's friends or family. And if you lose friends over wanting to be healthy, then hey, we kind of have to step back and figure out, are they really our friends to begin with? And that's not to say that they didn't have good intentions and they didn't have your back in hard situations. But a lot of times what happens is when we start trying to better ourselves, the friends who don't want to join in on that journey will kind of take a step back. So it's not that you have to have some big knockdown blowout, but whenever you try to do better, you inadvertently shine the light on the areas of concern for your friends. And so it kind of makes them internalize and feel bad. And then they kind of start to step away because you're no longer doing the things that kind of inhibit their own poor choices or bad habits.
Right. So, and sometimes you have friends for a season, right? So maybe that season is over. And you never know, you leading by example will encourage them to finally come with you. So yeah, you're absolutely right. So now, when you're working with a client and say they are having these doubts, right? And they're saying, I can't do this. It's easy for everybody else. It's always hard for me. And then you see that switch where they start to get their rhythm and their flow. Have you experienced that? And kind of what kind of tips would you give to someone who's kind of stuck in that it's easy for everybody else type thinking?
So that's kind of a multifaceted question. As far as just kind of getting out of that rut, it goes one way or the other. It's either emotion driven or results driven. So, coming from someone who never worked out, never really tracked their food, had no idea what macros were, or, only heard counting calories as a negative. If they come in and they strictly just start working out 3 times a week, they're going to see results. They're going to see results. Results drive change. Change drives motivation. And it just becomes a cycle. Now, there are some times that people will come in and, they'll do the workout, but then they'll go home and say, you know what? I worked out for 30 minutes today. I can stop by Taco Bell on the way home because I deserve it.
Right.
That goes more into the emotion one. So they're probably not going to see the same results. So they're not going to get the result-driven motivation. They have to get to a point of emotion motivation, which again goes back to kind of setting us apart from, the box gyms. We get to know our clients individually. So we know if they are the caretakers for their elderly parents, or if they have grandkids on the way, or, maybe they're the caretakers and the primary caretakers of their grandkids, or their children need a good role model. So we get to kind of facilitate that emotional drive, but there's always a rock bottom, I guess we could call it, that people have to get to before they're going to be willing to be motivated and driven by their emotions. So just like myself, I knew I was gaining weight. I could see it on the scale. I owned a scale. It was 10 pounds here and 10 pounds there. And I just kept saying, you know what, I feel fine. I still look fine. I know how to dress my body so that I don't look like I'm gaining weight. It's fine. I hadn't hit that threshold. But when you do, you do. And it becomes a very emotional experience. And once you get to that emotional breakdown where you just are no longer happy, that's when you get to choose. And what you get to choose your hard. Right. So you can choose hard now and easy later. So you can choose the macros or the working out or the anxieties of joining a gym. You can choose that hard now so that you can have an easier life later and have the body that you want to have, or have the mindset that you want to have, or eat the things that you want to be able to eat. Or you can choose easy now, but it's going to be hard later.
Right.
So those are always the 2 motivators. It's either results or emotion. And, sometimes we get that mix of the 2, but those are some of our more challenging clients actually, because they are back and forth between the 2 motivators.
Right. Oh. And you as the coach are being able to recognize which one it is to kind of guide them, right?
Yes.
That's cool. And so your job seems so multifaceted in itself that it's not just someone that's shouting in your ear telling you to work out, right? You guys are hitting it from all aspects of the journey of getting fit.
Yes. That. So we actually, we have a Fit-Body triangle is what we call it. And it's our 3 pillars of our success. So of course we have a workout, so 30-minute workouts. That's the easy part. We tell everybody what we do. It's simple. Doesn't mean it's easy. So the workouts, that's the easy part. You come in, we have the workout written for you. We just tell you what to do and you just have to do it. But then we have the nutrition, and that's arguably one of the harder parts, because you don't have someone 24/7 following you around saying, this is what you do. This is how long you do it. We have apps and we have ways that our clients can communicate with us, and we can watch what they're tracking. But ultimately, we only know, however, like how often they're being transparent with us. So that's kind of a more difficult part. But the coolest part, and the third pillar, is our, like I said, our accountability. So yeah, we hit it from full circle.
I can tell. You guys, how do you guide people into being very clear on their goals? I just want to lose weight. Like, how do y'all break it down to that?
A lot of the life coaching aspect. What we do is we don't ever just sit down and say, we're going to get you to lose weight, because we got to get it more specific, and that's going to be different to everybody. There are people that want to lose 100 pounds. There's people that want to lose 10 pounds. There's people that want to gain weight, So get your goals as clear and concise as possible. And that's what we really break it down to. You have to know a specific amount of weight that you want to lose or gain. We have to make sure that you have a timeline, because ultimately a goal without a timeline is only a dream, right? So as humans, we are procrastinators.
Right.
If we weren't, then we wouldn't be in the predicament that we're in.
I would be having this class right now.
Exactly. So we really make them break it down, and we have to get really, really specific. And then on top of that, we have to make sure that's realistic. So, if you're coming to FBBC and you say, I have 30 days, I got to lose 30 pounds, we're going to very kindly but very clearly tell you that's not healthy. It's not healthy. Now, are there pills out there? Are there doctors that can give you the shots and the pellets and all the things that can get you the quick? Yes, but we work on sustainability. So whenever someone comes to us with a goal in mind, or we sit down for the first time with a client, we're not just going to throw everything on their plate at once. We have like a stair-step model. Now, that doesn't mean that every single person takes the same approach. We may start with one person and you say, for the next 2 weeks, all I want you to focus on is coming to your workout and getting your water intake in. And we tell them exactly what that looks like. Half of your body weight in ounces to start with. Maybe drop down from 5 sodas a day to 3 sodas a day. And just kind of smaller habit changes. Because if you go for the quick fix and you're like, I'm just going to take a pill, or I'm just going to take a shot, or I'm going to make this, multi-level marketing drink thing, and lose weight that way, that's great. It may work for now. But what happens? Like, you can't do that your whole life. What happens then? Did you rewire the habits that got you there to begin with?
The rewiring, that's the key.
Yes, it is. 100%. So our goal is to focus on rewiring from the get-go. So instead of just throwing in everybody straight into macros and tracking their food, we want to make sure that we got the foundational levels mastered first, and then we're going to graduate to the next one. So and all of that comes down to just getting to know our clients. And if there's someone who has been at a gym before and they know the foundations of the movement and they already know that they're supposed to be drinking water, or there are some people that don't drink anything but water anyway. Well, great. We've mastered that. Let's just get to the next part. But there are some people that we have to really be like, 18 cups of coffee is probably not ideal for your kidneys.
Right.
So a lot of it is just getting very, very clear and concise with your goals and making sure that it's realistic.
And it's good, if you're listening right now, it's good to hear this, because you can see that there is a process to getting to properly maintaining health. Yes. But there are people out there that are available to help guide you through that. So you don't have to do it alone. And Granbury Fit-Body Bootcamp is one of the places that actually takes you through the step-by-step process. So know that that's out there for you guys. And Fit-Body Bootcamp is nationwide.
Yes. Right. So we're actually considered international, because we have some in Canada as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we're talking about Granbury right now.
Yeah.
So what tips would you give someone who has that habitual thinking of self-sabotage? They keep having that.
So this one is one of the, like I said, most simplistic answers. Also one of the hardest things in life to grasp, in my opinion. Changing the way that you talk to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
is 100% absolute end all be all key to stopping the self-sabotage. So, earlier in the conversation, you said that a lot of people say, I can't do this, or I don't have time for this, or it's so easy for someone else to do this. You're right. It's easy for someone else, maybe. That doesn't mean it's not going to be easy for you. But can't is a word that we hear a lot. And it really, it's hard once you understand the simplicity of thought process and how simple it can be. It's hard to just not look at people and be like, stop using that word. Can't is such an absolute.
Mm-hmm.
And there is nothing about health and fitness that is absolute in that realm.
Right.
Now, if you are in a wheelchair and you are paralyzed from the waist down and you say, I can't walk, okay, that's an absolute. I'll take that.
Right.
But if you look at me and tell me I can't lift that 25-pound dumbbell or that 40-pound dumbbell, or I can't squat, or I can't track my food, or I can't weigh it out, those are not absolutes. We need to change the way that we're thinking. So first and foremost, we have to take accountability for what we're actually saying. When you tell me I can't insert whatever, you have to switch that around, take accountability for it, and say, I'm not willing to try.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a harder pill to swallow. And when you start kind of rethinking those things and say, instead of I can't squat with a 25-pound dumbbell, I'm not willing to try. Yes, I'm not willing to try. And that puts the accountability back on you. People don't want to say, I'm not willing to try. So if you challenge them with that as a coach, if I were challenging you with, you're just not willing to. Okay, well, the way that our minds work,
yeah, right.
That stings. Like, that hurts a little bit. Well, let me show you that I am willing to try. And 95% of the time, they're capable of whatever it is that I'm asking them to do. A lot of it is just those self-limiting beliefs. And the other part of that is, we have our conscious and our unconscious mind.
Right.
So, have you ever been driving and just kind of just totally absent-mindedly just paying attention to the song, and all of a sudden, out of seemingly nowhere, you have an answer to a question that someone was asking, when they were laying on your chiropractor table, or, maybe AQ was like, hey, I have a problem with this, I need a solution, or maybe in your own life, and it seems to come out of nowhere. Right. It doesn't come out of nowhere. Okay, our brain doesn't just accidentally think of things. There's not a coincidence that it came up. So the way that our brain works is, you have your conscious thoughts, which is, if you're driving absent-mindedly, you're consciously paying attention to the road, you're consciously listening to the song or singing to the song. Well, while you're doing this in the forefront, your subconscious mind is going through all of life's problems and all of the questions that you're asking it. So if you were asked a question by your boss or by your coworker or by a client, and you didn't have an answer right then, well, your brain's going to be working on finding that answer in the background, right? But because we have so many unanswered questions and so many things and problems that our brain is trying desperately to find the solution to at all times, if we definitively tell ourselves, I can't, our brain's going to be like, cool, I don't have to worry about that one. Let's get it out. Right. So if you tell yourself time and time and time and time again, I can't, well, you're right, because you haven't tried. You haven't searched for an opportunity to make it happen. Right.
I love you. You are amazing. No wonder everybody loves you. You're such a big star. I told you have fans.
Oh, thanks.
Absolutely right. So what are and you can turn this question around if you like, but somebody might be watching right now and think, well, what kind of qualities should I have to join the Fit-Body Bootcamp? What should I show up with?
Willingness.
Right.
Willingness to be coachable and willingness to try.
Nice.
That's all it takes. You don't have to be a certain age group. You don't have to be healthy already. You don't have to have some sort of physical capabilities. You just have to be willing to try, willing to listen, and willing to put the work in. So if someone is willing and they've hit that threshold and they're like, no, I want change, if you're willing to make it happen, then we can make it happen.
You'll take it the rest of the way, right?
Yes, absolutely. But it all has to be what you're willing to do. And ultimately, and this is another one of those hard pills to swallow. What you don't change, you choose. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people think, well, I'm just not going to choose health right now. Okay, well, that's great. But let's flip the script. You're choosing to continue to gain weight. You're choosing to stay stagnant. You're choosing. So even when there's not a choice towards something else, that means that you're choosing the lifestyle that you're living. And a lot of people don't think of it on that aspect. They're saying, well, I don't want to count macros. I don't want to count calories. I don't want to choose that.
Right.
Well, that's okay, but let's talk about what you are choosing. There's always a choice.
Right.
So willingness.
That's simple, but not simple, but simple.
It's simple, not easy.
Right. So how would customers get in contact with you guys in order to visit your facility?
So we're on all social media. So we've got our Facebook page. If you just search out Granbury Fit-Body Bootcamp, or you can always email us. We have our email, I think it's actually on our Facebook as well, and our Instagram. But it's sbbcgranbury@gmail.com. Okay. And then if somebody wants to give us a call or text, it's 817-243-0075. So we try to be easily accessible.
Great. I will post this too so that others can see this. Thank you again, Ms. Theresa. I had a great conversation with you. You're so knowledgeable and you're doing amazing work. Keep it up.
Thank you so much. And like I said, I very much appreciate the opportunity to get on here and ramble about things I enjoy rambling about.
It's natural for you, and that's all that matters.
Oh, thank you.
All right, you guys, we have one more session coming up next Monday. I'll be talking about conquering our fears. So Theresa mentioned about time. She talked about family, right? But she also talked about intimidation, right? And fear. So we're going to take that head on. Thank you guys for watching tonight, and you have a wonderful evening.
Bye.